Hello, Mr. Aaron Smith.
Hi, Jason Thomas. How are you doing today?
I am doing fantastic. How are you?
I'm doing very well. It's Wednesday, another edition of the PWBA Podcast coming up, episode 32. Another young star is going to make a big impact on tour. Breanna Clemmer is going to be our guest. But before we get to her, we had a little excitement on television yesterday. PWBA action on the PBA King of the Lanes. We nearly had a Queen of the Lanes.
I know. They might have had to change the title of the show. Clara Guerrero, who is no stranger to bowling against men on television.
Mm-hmm.
She made a PBA show a few years back. Made a little run there. She took down Jacob Buttriff, one of the top bowlers out on tour for the last few years, and then ran into a bit of a buzzsaw in Sean Rash. So he played the spoiler. Big 289. Those are kind of tough to beat.
Very, very true, but definitely appreciated the moves. Claire bowled great. That first game was a bit of a grind, and I think she knew, as long as along with probably a lot of the folks watching, that 2-0 probably wasn't going to win against Sean as good a look as he had, even though his back was a little tight. So she made the ball change, back-to-back 4 pins, and then got lined up, and she was Sean not getting a hit away from being right in that match. Great bowling to Clara, and we're gonna have more excitement and more PWBA Tour players on the show tonight. Gigi Mason going to be taking on Chris Prather in the first show. That's going to be 8 p.m. Eastern on FS1. So looking forward to that. Hopefully Gigi can maybe knock off her fellow Team USA teammate in Chris, and then
go Gigi.
Then throw Sean around a little bit, just because we need a Queen of the Lane. So
Sean has a history of losing to women on television. He lost his first loss on television ever was to Linda Barnes.
How about that?
Clash. So maybe he can go back in the losing column, 1 and 2 against women on television.
Jason Thomas bringing the facts, but let's bring in our guest right now. As we mentioned, a collegiate standout, junior Team USA, junior gold. She's done everything. Breanna Clemmer.
Hi.
Hi.
Hello.
How are you?
We're doing well. How are you?
I'm great. I'm doing just fine.
Excellent. Well, thank you for joining us. And
thanks for having me.
What's life been like for you the past few months? How you been staying busy? Obviously, quarantine life, something brand new and different. So, what have the past? There we go. Begins with a P. Past few months been like for you?
Well, I started working out heavily. I started a 12-week workout plan. Recently, just finished that, and I'm starting it over again. So that's keeping me busy. I got a job. I've been working at Walmart and part-time at the bowling alley whenever we can be open, and studying for my education content test that I have coming up next week. That's basically determines if I get my license or not. So that's really been keeping me busy.
I guess so. Yeah, that's a lot of stuff. I mean, that's like 4 full-time things you got going on. Have you had any chance to bowl at all lately?
Yeah. So when we would keep the bowling alley open part-time just for the snack bar, we were allowed to bowl. My manager would let us because we worked there, obviously. So I was practicing there like every day, every other day when I could. But now that I work at Walmart, I work 40 hours a week. So I try to come in there as much as possible. But some days I just can't get in. But I've been trying to get in as much time as possible when I can.
Now, you mentioned the teaching aspect of it, and you're going to be going back to school for that to wrap up your collegiate career on that side of it this next semester. But, where's your passion come from that? What made you kind of want to get into that field?
Well, I had a teacher in 3rd grade. Her name's Jessica Harris. She's one of my biggest supporters that was in the teaching community when I was growing up. And she made me want to be better and to be a better student and a better person in life. And she made a huge impact on me. So I want to be that for the students who can't go home and have somebody for that aspect of their lives. And they don't have that. So that's what I want to do.
Is there any particular area of teaching that you're interested in?
I'm doing elementary education, but I want to teach third grade.
Okay.
Yeah.
Third grade. All right. It's a good year.
Yeah.
Very specific.
Well, third graders, they're like not too young to the point to where like they're just like being crazy all day, but like they're not too old to where they still want to learn. So
Gotcha. So there's still a chance by then for you to have some kind of impact.
Oh yeah.
And there's a chance. All right.
Yeah.
Well, that's awesome. Getting back to the collegiate part, we talked about top of the show, a collegiate standout for McKendree University. You're a 3-time national champion, 4-time NTCA Division II, Division III Player of the Year. Just an incredible career on the lanes at McKendree. Unfortunately, though, due to the pandemic, this season got cut short. We talked to your coach, Shannon O'Keefe, a little bit earlier, and she kind of told us the experiences of that on her side. What was that announcement like for you and the eventual cancellation of both the NCAA and the ITCs?
Well, I remember I was sitting in the room with Taylor Bailey, and we were getting ready for going to sectionals and for ITCs. And I remember getting the text that ITCs were canceled, like it was postponed. So we weren't 100% sure what was going to happen. And then later that day, we got the text that NCAAs were canceled. It wasn't happening. And like, I think that's the worst thing that I've ever felt when it's come to the sport, is that we've worked so hard this year as a team, and we kept each other up, and we were there for each other. And we really had to work hard this year because it was a completely different team. I mean, we only had 3 seniors from the returning team. And so it was a completely different atmosphere, and we had to learn together and grow together. So just all of that time and effort and blood, sweat, and tears that was put into it, it just kind of felt like it was for nothing in a way. That's how I felt when I first heard the news. But then I realized that like I learned a lot about myself and about my teammates that I would have never learned if I wasn't put in that situation. And it just made me grateful for the 3 years that I've had previous and prior to this year. Just to be able to have those experiences and everything. Like, I'm trying to find the good and the bad. So yeah, but we went over to Shannon's that night. Taylor, Amanda Morgan, and I went over, and she was just completely heartbroken, and seeing her like that hurt us. And of course we were hurt and upset that like our season was canceled. It was our senior year, but just seeing her and Brian like that, it was really hard.
What were some of the specific things, some of the good things that you learned from it? Obviously, losing your senior year and having an opportunity to, win a national championship and other, awards and accolades sucks. But what were some of the good things that you talked about there that balanced it out for you?
Well, first of all, not everyone gets to go to a school where you're coached by Shannon and Brian O'Keefe. So yeah, so that's the thing that I took from it. And I have family at home, and I'm very close to them. So going 11, 12 hours away and not having them was hard for me. But I was able to find a family there that had my back no matter what. And especially Shannon and Brian, because Shannon and Brian would go to the ends of the earth for their kids. And that's something that I tried to look for, is that I got these relationships and I was able to learn more about myself and become a healthier and stronger person because of them and because I was put in that situation. So, yeah.
Yeah, I've heard some stories, in the past about, you having some tough times growing up. I've also talked to some other bowlers in the industry that have expressed kind of similar things, and they've said, Jacob Buttriff comes to mind. We talked to him at the U.S. Open one year and talked about how bowling was really kind of an escape for him, and
Mm-hmm.
was something for him, to forget about his problems and create a strong support system for him. Is that something similar that you've had in your experience as well?
Yeah, so a lot of people know that my mom hasn't really been in my life much until past couple years where she was in my life. And I struggled with that pretty heavily because my grandparents raised me. My grandparents are my parents. But I really struggled with women figures in my life. And being with Shannon was very intimidating because she's the best bowler in the world. And I already knew Brian from Junior Team USA camp, so I was comfortable with him. So getting to know Shannon and seeing that she just wanted to love on me and care for me was something that I saw as an outlet as well, because I could always go to her whenever I needed her. And it really helped me learn how to trust female figures, because I didn't really have trust for them besides my grandma. So she really helped me open up and be myself and learn that being vulnerable is okay. So, yeah. I mean, it's kind of the similar situation with Jacob. Bowling is my outlet. When I'm frustrated, I want to bowl, but then sometimes I would get frustrated with it and I didn't want to bowl, but I always knew that I'd always have that outlet no matter what.
Now, I'm sure, coming into your collegiate years, just based off of the success at Junior Gold, that you're probably one of the most prized recruits out there. And I'm sure had a few folks, knock on the door, sending letters, phone calls, all that good stuff. But you talked about, being comfortable with Brian. What was it that kind of pushed you over the edge? And, was it something, obviously Shannon's talent probably went a long way with it, but, we know her as Mama Bearcat now. And I'm sure that was definitely a drawing factor for you ultimately deciding to go to McKendree.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So I first met Brian when I made junior team. He didn't really talk much at first, which was kind of weird because I love to talk. But he really opened up through the years that I got to know him. And when I visited, I got to meet Shannon for the first time and spend one-on-one time with her. I did not talk. I was not talking at all. I was so scared. And I just remember my grandma being like, Breanna, just talk to her. She's just another human. She's going to be your coach. Just talk to her. So after I started to open up to her and we got to visit the campus, I stepped foot on campus and I fell in love with it. It reminded me of home and the small town community. And Shannon just kept saying, we're here to build a family. We will always be your family, no matter what you do or what you say, we're always going to be here for you. And that was the most important thing for me, because I'm also there to get my education. That's number one. I'm there to get my education and then bowling. But family is always a really big thing for me. So I wanted to go somewhere where I could feel like I was a part of a family, get my education, and win national championships. And that's what we did. So,
yeah, I know Shannon talks about, the importance in the program of building, discipline. I know there were even circumstances where players were, pulled off the team right before our national championship because, they didn't follow, the rules. Talk a little bit about, just the discipline structure that's in place there, and then how that kind of folds into, because a lot of people associate discipline with, bad, negative connotations. But how does that fold into, the family aspect of the program there?
Shannon and Brian cares about every single one of their players. And when something bad happens, there has to be consequences. That happens in every aspect of your life. When you do something wrong or you make a mistake, there has to be consequences. And I feel like to every successful team out there, that has to be their motto in some way, because if you make a mistake and you don't get a consequence for it, you're never going to learn from that mistake. And it is very strict there, but they have a method to their madness, and it clearly works. And yeah, it clearly works. And I feel like it makes us better players and better people on and off the lanes as well.
Now, when we look at the credentials, 2 national championships as a team, both in 2017, just the second team ever to do that, an ISC title in 2019, as we mentioned earlier, a 4-time Player of the Year for D2, D3. So obviously, right from the get-go, even looking at those videos from 2017, you were the anchor player for a very talented group of players. So, there was certainly a confidence level coming into it. But over the course of your 4 years, what was the biggest thing, you learned about yourself, both, physically as part of the game and mentally to, kind of led you to even more success, looking at your U.S. amateur titles, being on Team USA now. What were the biggest draws from your time there at McKendree?
Well, when I first got to McKendree, I struggled because I had worked hard in the past, but I've never worked that hard. And I was really pushed for a long time. And just physically in the game and outside of the game, I was just being pushed to be myself and like, this is an open space. You're not going to get hurt here. But I also learned that I wasn't as good as I thought I was. And I learned that I needed to work harder to be better than what I was. And that was a big thing that I took away from that year, is that I'm not as good as I thought I was, and I need to work harder to be better than what I am. And then that was like my freshman, sophomore year, because I was struggling those years with finding out who I was and what I need to do to be better and to be more successful. But my junior and senior year, I feel like I stepped into more of a role that people look up to. So I was Taylor and I were like the leaders this past year. And I feel like that was a new role that I had to take on, because I was always used to following and to being a part of the team, obviously, and being an important role, because everyone plays an important role. But it was just different. And I don't know, my heart just burst with so much pride for those girls. And now I get to see a little glimpse of what Shannon feels when she sees all of us and she sees us being successful. And if it wasn't for Shannon and Brian pushing me as hard as they did, I wouldn't be the person that I am now. And especially with the ISCs and Brian, I remember I Brooklyned twice, and I went over to Brian and I was like, I don't even know what I'm doing. Like, I'm so nervous. I don't even know why. And he was like, Bree, just be yourself. Trust the process and be yourself. And that's something that I took with me for a really long time, is just to trust the process and be yourself. And that's something that I take with me every single day now.
Yeah, I'm curious about, I've seen you bowl quite a few tournaments where it looks like you're bowling on something different than everybody else is bowling on. And that's going to be really helpful when you're on tour, by the way.
Mm-hmm.
Is that, I grew up bowling against one of the most physically talented bowlers ever. His name was Robert Smith. And there were just days you knew you couldn't, physically, what he was doing, there was just no way you could do that. And I feel like you have that talent, in especially like places like team trials, where I've seen you, just dominate the field by 200 pins on a pattern. Do you think that's a physical thing, or is that something, that you have in terms of like lane play? Like, do you try to find things that nobody else has, or is it just a physical advantage?
Well, before working really hard on my mental game, I thought it was more of a physical advantage, because when you're in McKendree, you learn a lot. And I did take away a lot of things. Now, there's still some things that I'm unsure about and that I'm still trying to learn. But in the beginning, that's what it was. I feel like it was more physical and like trying to find that one thing that no one else is doing that could possibly work for me. Because I can go and throw it hard and straight if I need to, because I used to throw it really hard. So I can try and go back to that. But I also learned how to slow my ball speed down to get around it more. And that's what my arm does. And it helps me with that, not only straightening my swing, but it also helps in those aspects as well. But once working on my mental game, I just have to believe in who I am and know that I am Breanna Clemmer and live and breathe in that every single day. And when it came to team trials, that's more like this past year, that's more of what I was working on, is like believing in who I am and knowing that I can do anything that I set my mind to. So 2 years ago, it was more my physical game. This past year, it was more of my mental and physical game into one. So I think that's what, at the time, I was set in my ways, like, I'm winning this tournament and nothing's going to be in my way of winning this tournament. So.
Yeah, I mean, I've noticed, like, I want to say 2 of those 5 days, you just destroyed everybody. I mean, it's pretty rare that you see that. I mean, right? I mean, that's what it takes to win on the PWBA tour. A person can go out and grind against everybody and get checks, but in order to win, you got to do something special. You got to have firepower, right? And is that something that you think about? Like, do you think about trying to get better at the things you're good at, or do you try to do more work on things to try to get you through in situations where you're not as comfortable?
There's always room for progress, and there's always ways to get better. And even though I am as good as I am now, I want to be better. So I do find little things like tracking my slide where I'm sliding every single time, like looking down at my foot. I don't have Specto here, but like using cones to track where I'm going and to hit a specific spot. But 2 cones stay down right next to 15 and I have to hit that spot. Like things, just little things now to make me better than what I am. And then I've been reading like mental training books and trying to work on my fitness as well, because fitness is, I've realized, is a huge aspect in bowling. And I've really been working hard on that lately as well too.
Now, Breanna, you mentioned your balance arm, which I'm sure is a question that has been asked over the past 3 or 4 years. So we're going to just ask that again one more time here. And we're, in case anyone has not seen you compete, this is from the 2019.
Did you at least pick a strike, Aaron?
IFC. Of course I picked. Well, she strikes most of the time anyway, so I mean, it makes it easy. But we'll see the balance arm there extended prior to the start.
Watching Clemmer close in on a possible national championship. With shots like that,
not too shabby.
In the ninth.
So obviously that's a pretty good shot, but you know, we've talked to Brian, we talked to Shannon, we've talked to you about it over the years. So we kind of know the why. I want to go more into the process of kind of how it got there. You know, for something for folks to kind of implement into their game, you know, sometimes it takes, you know, months for them to work on something to be comfortable. I would like to know, A, how long it took you before you took that particular move to competition. And, you know, for folks who might be interested in that, who may, you know, be able to benefit from that, what are some of the big tips that, you know, you took away through this process and probably still continue to do today?
Yeah. Well, it was my freshman year, obviously. I sort of had like a figure 8 kind of swing, and it went all the way to the left of my head. So that was something that Brian and Shannon had already talked about working on. So as soon as I got to school and we were able to practice as a group because of NCAA rules, we started working on it then because we had our first tournament coming up. We were working on it, but I wasn't really comfortable with it. So we didn't really do it the first tournament of the year. But then right after the first tournament, Brian was like, okay, this is what we're doing. Let's try this. So he got a bowling buddy and he had me hold it out with my left arm, obviously. And then I would just do 1-step drills with it. Just do 1-steps. That's what he had me doing just to get comfortable with it. And that's all I did for a couple days. And then he had me do a full approach with it, and it looked significantly better. Like my swing was straight. I was balanced, like on time, like everything just lined up. And then I worked on it for a couple weeks, maybe a month. It was so long ago. I'm sorry. So many memories in here. So then,
I always thought you would stop doing it at some point.
No,
no.
No.
Yeah,
I practice without it. And it does look significantly better without it, but it's kind of my comfort zone. And Brian and Shannon always told me, like, if you ever want to put your arm down, you just tell us. Don't be hesitant. If you ever don't want to use it anymore, just let us know and we'll work on it. And I would practice with and without it sometimes and just see what it would look like. And it was better, but then I would get into my old habits. So that's something that I don't know, it's kind of my comfort zone and I like it, and it's worked for so many years. So why change something that's been working and you've been successful with when you can just work harder?
Yeah, I want to go back to the initial thing that caused you to do it, which is, wrapping the swing behind your head, which is really good if you want to go left to right. Not so good if you want to go straight up the lane. So how, I assume you just fix that. Like if you want to go left to right, you just open your shoulders up to your target a little more so that it's all, is that what keeps your shoulders, square to the swing plane?
Yeah. So, I would over rotate my shoulders pretty badly as well. So I actually struggled more, going left to right, then straight up the lane, which is really weird because I would literally throw it hard and straight all the time. Like that's what I would do all the time. And, but when we did have the arm out, and we still have the arm out, I would just open my shoulders a little bit, and it would keep my shoulders from over rotating and feeling like I have to use my shoulder to do the work instead of just letting my hand do the work.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
And I assume your consistency has improved, on all these different conditions because of it, right?
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. It's much better.
Got to be strong to do that, though.
Yeah. I was very sore when I first started. I was very sore. Yeah, it took a while, but then before nationals came around, it was just getting better and better my freshman year, and I was really comfortable in what I was doing because I had months to do it, but I was really comfortable with it, and it just stuck from there.
Yeah, there's a couple of men who have done that, in the history of bowling. Wayne Webb and Bob Learn, but they both held the ball down low. So I guess my question would be, and they would kind of push the ball up when the approach would start to get it swinging, freely. How do you get the ball started to make sure that it's coming down, nice and free and loose?
Well, Brian and I talked about it. Kind of wanted a sense of normalcy to my game. And so instead of holding it so far low, I just held it normally. And we worked more on that, just me pushing it to him each time, just arm out and just pushing it to him. Because I would have a tendency to push it, but then go right with it. And so it would bring me back to kind of that figure eight.
Right.
So we would literally I would push it to him like multiple times, and he would just have me throw a normal shot. I don't know. I feel like we didn't really fully go into depth is why I didn't have it so low. But I mean, it worked. And
yeah.
I'm comfortable now.
I'm not saying that way is the right way.
Oh, no.
Yeah.
I know.
Yeah. I was just curious how you, would get the ball into the swing without having to overuse your muscles.
He would always tell me just to let it fall. Just let it fall. Just feel like you're being lazy with it, like you're not putting anything into it. And that's kind of what we worked on for the whole 4 years that I was there, is just be lazy with it. Because I would still have a tendency to like overuse my shoulders and my arm to make the ball do the work when I didn't have to do the ball, didn't have to put any work onto the ball. My hand could just do it. So yeah, I didn't realize that until I remember I threw like really a good shot at practice without doing it. And I was like, oh, like, I don't have to use my shoulders anymore. Like, great.
And one more, Aaron, of curiosity on this topic, but when you're bowling your A game, what percentage of your effort would you say you're using, and how much do you still have in the tank that you could go to if you needed to hit it a little harder or throw it a little harder?
Throw it a little harder. We've been working on that all 4 years of school because I struggle more throwing it softer. So I literally could do that at like maybe 90-95% if I needed to. Now throwing it softer is a different story. I've struggled with that. But yeah, throwing it harder is like a 90-95. I could do that if I needed to.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
I'm just trying to scare all the rest of the players on the PWBA tour right now.
Okay, I look up to them. Okay. So we'll see.
Now, prior to all these changes that we're kind of talking about, you were a 2-time junior gold champion, a runner-up at junior gold as well, and a 5-time member of junior team. Now I'm curious how much, you mentioned working with Brian, and obviously, Brian being part of that team. Was that something you guys ever worked on in junior camp before you went to McKendree, or was that really the first time you had worked on that at McKendree?
Well, we were trying. I remember Rod Ross and Brian, we would work on my arm before I even got to McKendree, and we just never found anything that clicked. I would try pushing the ball left and just letting it like feel lazy. Well, that didn't work. And basically, yeah, we worked on so many things before McKendree, and I just feel like, one, I was never comfortable with anything, and two, I never got to see any like long-term results as like holding my arm out. But yeah, we for sure worked on it at camp, and we worked really hard at camp about it, and it just, nothing really clicked until I got to McKendree, and Brian just had the bright idea to do that. He is so smart, and I wish I could just pick his brain for one day and see what he thinks about when people are bowling, because he's so intelligent when it comes to bowling.
Yeah, that's the one thing about coaching that's interesting. And I've done a lot of spent a lot of time with Mark Baker, working with him on his instructional book and his DVD. And it's very simple to tell a person what they need to do, but it's very hard to explain how they can do it.
Yep.
And so those guys, yeah, they're the best. I mean, Brian, Rod, Mark.
That's where I was so interested into how he thought of these things. And I would ask questions, and even though if they were dumb questions sometimes, even though there's no such thing as a dumb question, he would still explain it, and he would bring it down to my level if I didn't fully understand it. And that's what helped me so much, is that Brian and Shannon would bring it down to a different level if we needed it, to understand it a different way as well. So yeah, they're super helpful in everything.
Yeah, and I'm sure you're also, you had a lot of success, so I'm sure there's a little bit of stubbornness there, right? Why should I change it if I've had success? But you're also an inquisitive person, so I'm sure you want to know why you're asking me to do this weird thing.
Right? Yeah. So I was kind of unsure about it at first, but I was like, look, if I'm coming here to get better, then that's what I'm here to do, is get better. And if I have to change everything about my game to become one of the most successful players in college bowling, I will. Because that was my goal. I wanted to be the most successful player in college when I was done. And I would do whatever it takes to get there. And yeah, that was my mindset throughout school.
I would say pretty well accomplished there.
Yeah. Yeah.
We talked a little bit about Junior Team USA, 5 years, 2014 to 2018. So obviously some moments, some opportunities to wear the red, white, and blue, and collect a few medals along the way. I'm going to start up a quick video clip from the World Championships, winning the team event in 2018. So there are some emotions here, so just prep yourself. So, this video courtesy of Matt Cannizzaro, the final frame. Title match against Korea. Nope. We will let you finish it, Bree. So we'll get the coach.
Oh.
Crowd gets into it here a little bit too. That's okay right there.
And just showing that there really wasn't that much room out there to miss. That last one.
But obviously that's got to be a special moment for you, especially, Brian being the coach, Taylor Bailey, part of that team, along with Mabel and Caitlin Johnson. But, from those experiences you've had from those 5 years on junior team, what's it like to be able to perform for your country in those situations? And in that instance, that's the tournament, that's the event to win that. What was that experience like for you?
It still makes me super emotional. That team is a team that can never be recreated. And those girls are just so important to me. And we still keep in contact to this day, especially Taylor and I. I mean, we lived together last year, we bowled together. And all of those girls will always hold a special place in my heart. And that's something that I dreamed of since I made junior team. Since before even making junior team, I would watch Danielle bowl and I'd be like, that's going to be me someday. And it was. And just to see like my dreams come true and Taylor and Mabel and Caitlin's dreams come true, and we did it together, was something just so special, especially wearing the red, white, and blue. Like that is, I can't even explain it. Just being able to wear it and represent your country and like go and win a world championship is something so rare and so important to you and to all the girls, and to be able to do it and accomplish that and just so effortlessly and just live and breathe in who we are. And that's what we did. We were just living and breathing in who we were as a team and who we were individually. And I think that's what just made us click so well, is that we were just like, okay, whatever happens, happens. And if it's meant to be, it'll be. And that's how we were the whole time.
Yeah, I'm curious about, we had Caitlin on the show last week, and you two have, been competitors for a long time. Obviously you were, been teammates as well. But you guys, I'm sure, have probably a friendly rivalry, right? And, I'm sure you're both going for the same thing next year on the PWBA tour, which is Rookie of the Year. So talk a little bit about that and, what you guys are both going for.
Yeah, well, we were going to room together this year on tour. I don't know if a lot of people know, but we actually grew up bowling against each other. When she lived in North Carolina, we would bowl the same tournaments. So we grew up bowling against each other until she moved to Texas. And then we bowled against each other in Weber and McKendree freshman year. And there's a friendly rivalry, but it's not anything to where it's like we don't like each other. She's actually one of my closest friends. And we're going to room together. And I was actually going to stay with her for the Lucy before it was postponed.
Yeah.
But I mean, we grew up a lot, and we're both completely different people than what we used to be. So I think that's why we're closer now than what we used to be. And we kind of just lost touch. So I'm really excited to see like what this year and next year can bring for our friendship. I'm so proud of her and everything that she's doing. She's so successful, and she works harder than a lot of people that I know. And she wants it just as bad as I do. So, if it's her, I'm proud of her and I'm going to hug and love on her as much as possible. But if it's me, I'm going to be just as excited, and she's going to be just as excited for me as I would be for her.
It really is, or was going to be, a tremendous rookie class this year. And, when you look at the players on the NCAA side, you look at that first team from this year, yourself, Raquel Orozco, Maria Bolanova,
it's going to be even better in 21 now.
Exactly. Alexis Snyder and Taylor Bailey. I mean, you've gotten to compete against, those four, or with one of them as well. But with those players over the past of the last 4 years, what's it like just to see that talent level just, and, you got to face that every week in the college side. There was never an easy week. What was it like just competing against such a talented, freshman to senior class?
Well, I think I also, my freshman and sophomore year, I bowled against Jordan Richard and Haley Richard, and they were just as intimidating. And I think that helped me build my confidence a little bit, because I finally realized hey, I can beat these girls, girls that I looked up to. But bowling against Maria and Raquel, they are amazing people. And you would think that some people think that collegiate bowlers who are successful aren't the nicest people. Well, they're actually super nice. We're all very, very nice. And we always had a good time, and there was never any bad blood between any of us. And no matter win or lose, we were always joking around with each other and talking to each other. So I just got to learn to be open to talk to more people, because I wasn't at first. And I was just I don't really want to talk to anybody. This isn't my thing. And then when I finally opened up, I realized hey, these people are really nice. I could be myself around them, no matter if we're bowling against each other or bowling for a national championship. At the end of the day, we're still going to talk to each other at the end of the day. Hey, good job. You did great. You bowled really well. It was always that sort of relationship. And like when I bowled against Maria at ISCs, there was no bad blood, and there was like no, like, we weren't mad at each other or anything. Like, she hugged me and told me great job. Like, her parents hugged me and told me great job. So it was like, we're all just a small community who are women supporting women. And I think that that's a huge deal, especially for the collegiate bowling atmosphere, is that we just all need to support each other.
That's very awesome, and something we got to see every year at the Prairie View A&M Invitational here on Bowl TV. So shameless plug for that event. But I mean, the competition was always so great because so many of the top teams. But you phrased it perfectly. Just the camaraderie between the players, between the schools. Mm-hmm. Obviously everyone's there for the same goal, but I always saw just this awesome level of respect for the other teams out there, which was, just great to see in such a competitive sport. But I think, you mentioned it, the tight-knit community really brings it together. And as we move on in the interview, Jason Thomas, we're 40 minutes in already.
I know.
We're flying by here.
The time flies by. Yeah, go ahead, Aaron. I do have a question. Sure? But, go for it.
Okay. Yeah. We're going to transition now. We talked a little bit about the success you've had at the U.S. Amateur Championships, which has led to you being part of the adult team the last 2 years. JT mentioned how you kind of dominated, outside of Kelly Kulik, you've been the most consistent player, second place overall in 2019 on the team trial side, fourth last year. What is it about that event that you're able to find so much success? And, we see the emotions come out every year because you win it every year, it seems like. But, just another opportunity to be part of kind of that Team USA community. What's that mean to you as well?
That's something that I dreamed about since I was little. And I know it seems cheesy to say since she was my coach, but I've always looked up to Shannon. She has worked harder, I think, than anybody else that I've seen. And just being able to have her sit behind me and watch me and be proud of me is something that that's what makes me so emotional, is that I have like Brittany Myers and Shannon and her mom, like, they're my people when I'm not with my family. And I get so emotional because, like, I'm the type of person, I just want them to be proud of me, and just seeing that and feeling that is what makes me so emotional. And I'm proud of myself because last year and the year before was hard for me, mentally and personally. And just seeing and proving to myself that I'm good enough to be on that team and that I can win this tournament, like, that was where the emotions came from my first year, was that I'm good enough to do this and I'm good enough to be on this team with the greatest women bowlers of all time. Like, that's something that I just couldn't wrap my head around until I got to camp and I realized I'm good enough to be here. Like, if I wasn't supposed to be here, I wouldn't be here. And Shannon is literally just such a huge piece of my heart. And I just look up to her in so many ways. And I'm going to get emotional, but she's just like my other mom, and she always takes care of her girls. And I just remember I had a really hard time in school, and she was the first person that I went to, and the first person that just hugged me and told me everything was going to be okay. And she's always been that person, and she's just such an amazing person. And I feel like I'm talking her up so much, but everybody knows that she's an amazing person. And I feel like God really put her in my life for a reason, and that was to make me a better person and a better bowler. So she's where all the emotion comes from. She may not realize that, and I don't think I've ever told her that, but that's really where it comes from, is her and Brian.
Yeah, we talked a lot about Shannon there, and we had Deandra Asbady on the podcast a couple of weeks ago, and she talked about, we asked her why she thought Shannon was, had become the top player on tour, and she said because she's quote unquote crazy, right? And I think what she meant by that is that she's not crazy. It's crazy in the sense of, you call people crazy like Elon Musk, right? You have like the loftiest goals imaginable, and then you're obsessed with, doing all the small things you have to do to achieve those goals. And so I think, that's what Deandra meant by, calling her crazy. Is that something that, she taught to you guys, or did she have kind of lower standards for you than she does for herself?
Oh, no. She had the same standards for us. But I feel like that's what made us better, is that she would just tell us, like, this is what you have to do. This is what you need to do. If you want to be better, then this is what you need to do. She was like, there isn't a day that I take off from bowling, because I want to be the best of the best out there. And if I want to be the best on tour, this is what I do to be the best. And it works tremendously. And she just wants to be the best at what she does. And she is the best at what she does. And she's so committed to doing that. And that could make her, quote unquote, crazy. I don't think it makes her crazy. I just think it makes her extremely driven, because she is a very driven person.
Yeah, I wrote in my book that being called crazy is the best compliment you can give somebody, because you don't actually call people crazy who are crazy because they're crazy. They might get mad at you and hit you with a baseball bat or something. So it's actually the best compliment you can give. But do you like is one of the things you like about team trials the fact that you get to compete against the pros and kind of prove yourself against them?
Mm-hmm. Well, I was kind of like preparing myself the past 2 years to, like, this is who I'm bowling against week in and week out. And I had to get used to kind of being starstruck in a way, because I've never really bowled against these women before. So I was just kind of preparing myself to make that transition into, like, I'm bowling against these women in a couple of years. I'm bowling against these women in a couple months. Like, this is what I have to get used to day in and day out. So yeah, that's kind of what I like to use team trials for, is to push myself. Well, not only push myself, but to get used to bowling against these women and knowing, like, this is my competition and this is what I'm going to be doing week in and week out.
Yeah, you got used to doing interviews after the blocks, which is something you're going to have to do on PWBA.
Yeah, you're right. I will give you that. You're right. I hated interviews.
You got pretty good at it too.
I have. I will give myself that. I will.
Now, looking ahead and talking about, competing against these top players, obviously we wish the season was in mid-swing right now and you were going for Rookie of the Year, but, what were the big things you were looking forward to with your rookie season? And what do you think were going to be some of the biggest challenges as the new kid on the block?
Yeah, I was really looking forward to getting to know some of the women out there, because there's a handful of, like, women that I know, like my teammates and stuff. But I don't know everybody, and I'm a much more open person, and I feel like I could really get to know a lot of these women and make lifelong friendships. One of the challenges that I think that I would struggle with if I would have left school and went straight on the tour is the long days of bowling, because I wasn't pushing myself to work out as much as I am now, and I wasn't as healthy as much as I am now. So I think I would have struggled with that, like being tired, not wanting to bowl anymore, and just being so fatigued from bowling so much. I think that's something that I would have struggled with, and the transition. I struggle with transition. So that's something that I feel like I would have struggled with as well, is like when the lanes get hard and I need to find something to do and it's not working, I feel like I would struggle with that as well.
Yeah, from a goal setting standpoint, you talked about, how you set goals for yourself, for collegiate bowling. Do you have, or obviously, those goals may have changed since the tour is not going to now start until next year. But are you focused more on setting like weekly type goals, or more even like long-term goals beyond just one season? Is that kind of how your brain works, or something in between?
Well, I have long-term goals for the tour, specifically for this upcoming year. I want to be Rookie of the Year. I want to win a title. That's one of my goals. But I just want to be myself. And I know I reiterate that, but I have struggled with being myself for many years. And I just want to be myself and do that and win titles and make friendships. That's just because I'm bowling against Shannon, and I have faith that I can be her. Okay, but she's so good. She's gonna get Player of the Year. Like, I just know she's She's amazing. So rookie of the year is my long-term goal, and winning a title is a long-term goal. And if I win 2, then I'm excited about that. But those are my 2 dead set goals: is rookie of the year and to win a title.
Yeah, that related to that, we had one player this last season kind of break out and become a big star, who was Dasha Kovalova.
Mm-hmm.
Both 300, won a title, won the Queens earlier in the season, and by the after that event in Louisville, she was getting swamped. When she'd show up to the tournament sites with fans wanting autographs and all kinds of stuff. Have you thought about how you're going to deal with that once it
comes? Not so much. Like team trials and stuff, people would come up to me, but like younger girls, when I would go home and watch tournaments, would never come up to me. Or boys in general, boys too, anybody in general. And I know how that feels because I used to be that scared little girl who wouldn't go up and talk to people that like I watch bowl on TV. So like I know how that feels. So I'm not fully prepared for that yet. I'm getting there. The interviews took a long time. Okay.
You were pretty quick.
But I think I was like, okay, I'm getting it done and I'm over. I'm done. But I think it'll get better with time. I remember the first autograph that I was ever asked to sign, I was like, me? Like, you're talking to me? Like, what? So yeah, but I think it'll get better. I think it'll get easier with time.
Now, what did you get to sign for this first autograph? Was it a book? Was it a pin? What was it?
It was a junior gold card. I was a junior gold one year, and it was one of the little player passes that had the autographs on the back. And I was like, you're asking me? Like, there's all these people over here like me?
They know it's gonna be. They knew it was gonna be valuable someday.
They just knew none of them had won junior gold twice, so that was the reason why. Now you mentioned being, as a young player, kind of being a little intimidated of these folks, but who were the players the players you really looked up to growing up? And if there's anyone who you try to model your game after, when you would watch bowling, who are the folks you really like to see?
Well, I loved watching Michelle Feldman bowl, Kim Terrell-Kearney, Tennille Milligan, and Shannon. So those are like my top 4. I loved watching them bowl. Especially Kim. I loved watching Kim bowl. Just her game. I could watch her bowl all day if I had to. Like, I wouldn't mind at all. But those are really the 4. Oh, and Kelly. Kelly, she's amazing. Just love everything about her. I really love watching all those women bowl. And those are people that I looked up to since I was a little girl too.
That's interesting because there's quite a diversity of styles in that.
Yeah.
In that group.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. There really is, especially with like Michelle, the difference between like how Michelle bowls and how like, say like Kim bowls, like there's a difference there. Michelle was just a very powerful player. And she was very successful, and I just love watching her bowl because you didn't really see some women bowl like that. And especially now that like I feel a little different because my game is different, and at the time hers was different. So I was just like, wow, like she's so powerful. Like I want to be that one day and bowl like that one day. So, but the person that I really modeled my game after would probably be Kelly at one point. But with my arm swing, that was kind of hard. But that's who I would like talk to my coaches about would be Kelly.
Was when she won the Tournament of Champions, which is right there.
Yeah.
Was that a big deal for you to see that,
Yeah.
you could accomplish anything basically?
Yeah. She put it out there that any woman could do whatever she wanted to do. And girls at my age at that time, I was amazed basically, like, oh, I can go out and bowl against the guys and like make a point. This is what I can do. And she was that staple within women's bowling. Like, you can do whatever you want to do, because she just went out and she won one of the biggest men's tournaments that exists. And that was a big deal for me. That was a really big deal for me.
Yeah, in my opinion, it's the biggest accomplishment that's ever been accomplished in the history of bowling.
Yep, I agree.
I mean, I dare anybody to name one that was bigger than that.
Yeah.
Right? I mean,
It was amazing. Like, you can't name anything else that was bigger than that. You just can't.
No. Now, what was the impetus behind the different players that you liked? Was it styles? Was it personalities? Was it lane play? What was it that you liked about it?
Was more the styles, sort of the personalities too. When I first met Kelly, like, she was super nice, like, and she was just joking around, like, had a good time, and that's what like made me like her a lot as well. Not only just her physical game, because she's so good, but just her personality on and off the lanes. Shannon was so fiery, and I'm very fiery when I bowl. So like, I loved that about her. She was just so fiery and so driven. Kim is kind of reserved, but her game, it's just so smooth, and I love everything about it. I don't know. I could just watch all of them bowl. Like, just their styles and their personality and their demeanor. Like, I love everything about each one of their games, even though they're completely different. And that's what makes them unique, is that each of their game is uniquely different than the other.
Now, we talked to Kim 2 podcasts ago as coach of the Phoenix Fury. And, she kind of said, she's just focusing on the coaching side. She's, not thinking about the bowling so much. But Breanna, I'm in the same boat as you. I could watch Kim bowl all day. So I think we need to start a club to get Kim Kearney back on the lanes full-time competing.
Agree.
So we're going to start this. We're going to Facebook groups, everything.
Fan club, I'll make the T-shirts.
Yes, T-shirts.
You can handle everything else.
All right. Okay.
Yeah, I saw she had a little look in her eye that she could be convinced when we were talking on the podcast. Yeah. It's
weird because like every single time I see her, I still call her Coach Kim. Like, it's just a habit. She's not my coach, but I call her Coach Kim. Like, it's just a habit. And she's just so nice. And she's always been super supportive, not only of me, but of our team as well, even though she coaches A&T. And I just love her so much. Like, she just makes my heart so happy. She's amazing.
I would agree with that assessment 100%. We're hitting the hour mark or so. So, JT, I'm kind of getting low on questions here. So
yeah, I got one question before we ask our regular required questions for the podcast. If there was one thing that you would say is the most important thing that you've learned from Shannon, what would it be?
That's a hard one. Something that's stuck with me. I'll do that. Something that's stuck with me. I've said it multiple times already because I really try and live by it, is just live and breathe in who you are. You can always be yourself around the right people, and you should always be yourself no matter what. And just loving myself is something that I've been working really hard on with her. Just live and breathe in who you are, and don't let anyone tell you that it's not okay to be yourself. Yeah, that's something that I took away from her.
It's important.
Oh yeah, very important.
It's the sign over the Oracle's wall in the Matrix.
Never seen that.
Never seen the Matrix? Okay, that's what you need. As soon as the podcast ends, please go watch the Matrix.
I'll go watch it.
Yeah, it says, know thyself.
I like it.
Is that in the first one, or does she have to watch all three? Or
no, you just, yeah, you only watch.
I have to watch 3 of them.
Yeah, no, just one.
No, yeah, just stop.
They're actually making a 4th, so I'm a little nervous about that one. But The Matrix is one of my top 5 all time.
Okay, I'll definitely watch it.
I'm pro Keanu, so that works.
I'm so clueless right now. You have no idea.
Keanu Reeves. Don't you doesn't everybody like Keanu Reeves? I thought that was a thing. Like, he's the internet's boyfriend, right? Isn't that what they call it?
My boyfriend, I have 3. They're the Jonas Brothers. So like, I have no clue. I have no clue.
Well, I think that's a perfect segue, Aaron, to our required topic on the podcast, right? I
think so. So we're going to talk binge watch recommendations. So, so if you've had anything you've been watching or would recommend to the fans out there that they should be checking out, Netflix, Hulu, regular TV, whatever it may be, Breanna, what are those for you?
Sons of Anarchy. I just finished that not too long ago. Prison Break. Outer Banks. I've been told to watch Ozark, so I'm going to start watching Ozark.
They're all dark. I mean, a lot of dark shows there.
Well, okay. They're so interesting. Like,
have you watched Breaking Bad?
Yes.
Okay. Yeah. That's
Prison
the show
Break
that
is probably
makes
my
you
favorite.
so. Yeah, I was physically ill when I binge watched Breaking Bad for like a month. But it was great.
And then I have like the lighter side of my TV shows, like the Vampire Diaries and stuff like that. But everybody knows that because that's a good one. But yeah, those are my shows that I've watched so far.
Prison Break has been a popular one here, so that's a good news for talking points with the other players.
It must be a coronavirus thing. Like everybody feels like they're in prison, so they watch Prison Break.
Oh my gosh. Maybe.
All right, now I'm going to ask a bonus question here because this Keanu Reeves madness that's happened. We'll just list some favorite movies now. I got to know your areas.
They don't have to star Keanu Reeves.
Well, I like girly movies and funny movies. So basically anything with Will Ferrell in it. And then I'm trying to think, Save the Last Dance. That's like my number one movie. My mom and I used to watch that when I was younger. So that's like my all-time favorite. And then A Walk to Remember. They're all girly movies.
Oh, wow.
The Notebook.
Yeah. What about Mean Girls? Do you like Mean Girls?
No.
Okay.
No, I just don't find interest in that. I don't know.
Have you seen it?
Yeah.
Okay.
Of course I've seen Mean Girls.
Yeah. Yeah, interesting. Like if you had to pick 3 PWBA players who would be the Mean Girls on tour, who would they be?
Wow, JT.
I don't even know this.
She's a rookie. Come on.
Sorry. Yeah.
I don't know my
Shannon O'Keefe, Kelly Kulick.
No, not at all. Way to put me on the spot.
JT, cool.
Appreciate it.
Next time we have you on, we may have you on before that, but we'll ask you that question after your first year on tour, and you can tell us who you think.
No.
Regina George is.
Regina George is.
Who's the apex predator on the PWBA tour?
I still know that reference.
Oh, that's from the Broadway version. Sorry. Yeah, they did a musical version of Mean Girls. My kids forced me to spend $1,000 to go see it. So.
Nope. No. I'll pay $1,000 to go to a concert, which I did pay a lot of money recently, but that's okay.
Which concert?
Okay. The Jonas Brothers.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Taylor Bailey and I went. It was so much fun.
Nice.
Yeah. I'm like a little girl at heart, honestly.
Very, very awesome. Now, Breanna, as we wrap up here, we know you got the jersey on, and you had some big news with that, I believe, recently. So part of Team Brunswick, right?
Yeah, just recently signed with Brunswick. I'm very excited about it. And then I recently signed with Coolwick as well. And I have something else in the works coming soon. Can't really say anything about it, but I'm super excited. I've thrown Brunswick since before I even went to McKendree. And I've always loved their products. And I love that the family too as well. And I can throw a lot of brands now, so it's great. I mean, that's always fun.
There are a few out there.
Yeah. Everybody likes options.
Oh yeah, like give me a bunch of Prism hybrids and GB3s, and I'm set for life. Like those are my favorite balls.
Christmas gifts coming.
Just give me a bunch of those, and I'm set. So yeah, that's who I recently signed with, and Coolwick. They've always been really good to me, and their jerseys are amazing. So yeah, I'm super excited.
Awesome. JT, anything else?
Yeah, no, that was all good stuff. Any closing thoughts, Breanna, before we wrap it up?
Just thank you guys for having me. I was kind of nervous at first because you know how I get with interviews, but
we know, but then you do great, and then then it's
yeah.
well, yeah.
And I'm like, wow, that didn't go bad at all. Like, this is great.
No, that's great.
Just thank you guys so much. I'm so grateful for the opportunities that I've been given, and just like I said, live and breathe in who you are. That's very important and something that you should take with you for the rest of your life, because you're always going to have yourself at the end of the day, and loving yourself is especially important as well. So, yeah.
Awesome. Well, we'll see you soon.
See you soon. Thank you guys for having me.
Make sure you watch The Matrix. I'm going to ask you some questions.
I will.
Yeah.
I will.
Yeah, I'm going to ask you if you'd rather take the red pill or the blue pill.
Oh gosh. Okay. Well,
right.
ruin it for me. Okay. Thank you guys.
Bye.
Thank you. Take care.
Bye.
All right, JT, the red pill or the blue pill?
Yeah. Why didn't I take the blue pill? Man, no, I'm a red pill guy. I'm definitely a red pill guy for sure. I want to take the red pill because I want to know the secrets behind what's going on in the universe. So I think Breanna is a red pill kind of person as well. I get that impression. She likes to know why things tick.
Well, it certainly was a fun hour chatting with her. As we kind of led with at the beginning of the show, she's just an immense talent and is going to be a force to be reckoned with. She predicted the title. I definitely would not be surprised by that first season out, kind of just take over like we saw Jordan Richard do in 2018. But, another player who's really kind of followed all the stepping stones. You look at success at junior gold, collegiately, junior Team USA, now Team USA and US Amateur. So, definitely expect to see that at the PWBA level as well in 2021. But yeah, it's just a pleasure to talk to. And as she said, she was definitely a little shy first few times we did this over the course of her career, but very talkative, very awesome, very fun to chat with and to learn more about.
Yeah, I mean, I agree with everything you're saying. I mean, we sometimes overhype some of these rookies, coming out on tour. Really only, I mean, obviously the first season, everybody was a rookie. So, that was the greatest rookie class that we're ever going to have. But, I really do think she has a chance to do kind of what Jordan Richard did that first year she came out and made, a bunch of shows and won. Breanna Clemmer has firepower. And it's a thing. It's not just saying that as a cliche. She can go out and just dominate an event from start to finish. And so that's what you need in order to have success on tour. And I think sometimes when people don't go out and, who have won at every level like she has, and then they go out and then they have to bowl against Shannon O'Keefe and Kelly Kulick and Liz Johnson, it's demoralizing. And so I think the fact that she's already beaten all those players handily, and she has confidence in it, and she sets goals for herself, is going to probably make her one of the best rookies we've ever seen on tour. And I'm looking forward to seeing her perform when the tour gets back up and running.
I agree. I can't understate the success she's had the past few years at team trials, 5 different patterns over 5 days, and a different scoring system for that event as well, where it's based off of consistency instead of just pinfall overall. So to find herself in the top 4 the last 2 years, second 19 and fourth last year, with that field, with all the top PWBA players who represent the United States in that field, is just incredible.
Yeah. The pattern she dominated on, imagine if she had a chance to bowl on those all week. Mm-hmm. I mean, she just made everybody else look like they were bowling a different tournament. So that's what you need in order to be successful on tour, and she has it in spades. And it's going to be fun to watch her go out there and see how good she can be against the best.
Absolutely. Of course, folks, as we mentioned to start the show, Gigi Mason tonight on FS1 for the King of the Lanes, taking on Chris Prather. So we love Chris, but you're going down today, Chris.
Yeah.
But But JT, I know we got a show coming up in just in less than an hour here on Bowl TV.
Yes.
Give us the rundown for that.
Yeah, so we've got Cameron Hurwitz on. We'll be doing the Split and Board show, talking about his junior gold win in 2019, the U17 division. We're actually going to have his brother on, Reese, as well. So it'll be a cool family affair, and a couple of the smartest kids you'll ever meet. So to talk about bowling at that level with kids that smart, I'm looking forward to it. And you should also learn some other cool stuff about Cameron and the struggles that he's gone through. He had a health issue when he was younger that he overcame, and so we'll talk a little bit about that. But just a really fascinating kid. So stick around and check that out here in about 48 minutes or so.
Yep, 4 p.m. Eastern. Rest of the schedule on Bowl TV this week. Tomorrow, Inside the OC, Matt Cannizzaro and I will be breaking down the OC Bracket Challenge. So be sure to go to social media, find the Open Championships page. Voting for the final, the title is ongoing at the moment. Yeah. So Matt McNeil's 23-26 versus the legendary career of Bill Lillard.
Wow.
I'm just going to say it's Lillard, folks.
I mean, it's a whole career.
It's a whole career. 68 years, 8 titles, pinfall. Come on. But
I mean, the only thing you could say about that that would give Matt a chance is that it's not the only time he's done something amazing like that. Right?
Very true. Yes.
It wasn't just like, he got lucky. He just picked, the right year to go and got the right, draw. He's done it like 4 times. Right.
That he has. He's a 3-time All Events champion, three 800s on the lanes, and throwing a doubles title there too.
Yeah.
And I think my favorite McNeil stat is 2012. He won all events with shooting for like 560 in singles.
That's insane.
Because he shot basically 1,600 for team and doubles.
Wow.
But yes, it's still Lillard, folks. Matt's got plenty of career.
It'd be hard to vote against him.
But love me some Matt McNeil. I believe he's going to potentially make a special appearance on the show as well, as we break down that. But that should be fun. That'll be 2 p.m. Eastern. And then JT, one more show on Bowl TV to wrap up the week. The Throwback Thursday match of the week at 4 p.m. Eastern, 2015 Wichita Open.
Yeah, that's Stephanie Johnson's title from that season. Her one win in an almost Player of the Year season. So looking forward to watching that, reliving that, and one of Kelly Kulick's many runner-up finishes. Since the tour's relaunched.
Absolutely, looking forward to that. Folks, we're going to sign off here for the PWBA podcast. A big thanks again to our special guest, Breanna Clemmer. For Jason Thomas, I'm Aaron Smith. Once again, Splitting Boards, 50 minutes. Check it out. BowlTV.com only. But thanks again for joining us, and we will see you soon here on Bowl TV. Be safe, be well. And remember, bowling lives here.